the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
Let's get this party started is what we're here to do.
Here's how I'm starting the party. You ready for how I'm starting the party?
Yeah, I want to see how you're going to start the party.
We're going to have to go, I think, today for lunch to our girl over at Subway because we haven't seen her in...
Oh, she's going to be furious.
We haven't seen her in like a month.
She's going to be furious. We've formed a friendship with the lady at Subway, and we haven't been in a while, and I just have a feeling the moment the door opens, she's just going to be like, oh, well, look who decided to show up.
Exactly. And I'm a little worried that exactly.
She really makes us eat fresh.
Well, here's the thing is she's changed the way the whole Subway operates
has. I
now.
do love this.
They have paper... They're doing paper bag, not just, it used to be just us. They had some special paper bags on the side that they held for us because they knew we weren't going to want them. They never give us a straw. Right. They never give us a top for a cup. They do as much as they can for us because we are so Nazi about how.
I know. Well, when we first asked, they kind of give this puzzled look to us, like we would say, no straws. No plastic bag.
Yeah, do you have a paper bag?
Yeah, you have a paper bag. And they kind of give us this puzzled look like, that's odd. And then week after week after week, we kept asking for it. And then eventually they just changed the way the whole store works. Yeah. Like now that's only paper bags up front. There's no more plastic bags. So we're making a difference, baby.
We're making a difference. Now they do it for everybody.
Do it for everybody.
Yeah.
One Subway at a time.
I was thinking about getting a tuna sandwich. But I'm starting to wonder if I should go dolphin instead.
I feel like that's in the wrong direction of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Really?
But if they have a special... Here's the thing. Here's what I would say. Subway has a sandwich of the week for every day. If today is dolphin, then hey.
Yeah. If it's dolphin day, then I want to eat dolphin. I think that dolphins are getting a pass. Like you hear about tuna safe, like dolphin safe tuna nets.
Yeah, dolphin safe tuna.
So
nets,
when people have their tuna, how come tuna gets so hosed? Like what it should be like what? Why is there no tuna safe dolphin nets?
I know
out there.
I would like to know those conversations down in the ocean between tuna and dolphins. Like, well, you guys don't even care.
Yeah,
if we get caught in that net.
Yeah, like you dolphins have it so easy. They have specialized nets just so you don't get caught.
Yeah.
Because for some reason people like mammals. It's racist.
You guys continue to eat us and bring us on planes and punish people for entire flights having to smell tuna fish sandwiches. That's like the meanest thing anybody could ever do.
A tuna fish sandwich on a flight?
On an air flight. Yeah. I mean, enjoy your tuna, but not on a flight. Or any place, not ever in a place where you're close with other people. That's just that's not right.
Yeah.
Code of conduct.
Code of conduct, people.
This is one of the last... I mean, here's the crazy thing. We're only going to have a few more episodes in this space.
That's true. We're moving, ladies and gentlemen.
We're going to be moving, and this room is going to be gone. So take a look at me now. I'm just an empty space.
Yeah. There's nothing there to remind you, just the memory of your face.
The worst thing I did today was I forgot my tumbler again. I'm so sorry.
I don't even know why we do this podcast.
I don't even know why we try.
I feel like we have worked so hard to get people to appreciate the tumbler. And this is like I keep
taking it home to clean it.
Clean it here. We have soap here.
I should. No, we don't. Just kidding. Is that your phone?
No.
Or it was my laptop. Okay.
I like that you just blame me for
Hey, if the shoe fits, the shoe fits.
My phone isn't even in this room.
I know.
My phone is on airplane mode in another room.
Well, I
am so on point today. I might even get the thing right at the end.
Don't even push it. You have your tumbler. Your phone's off. You win. You win the green wings today. Noel wins the green wings. Okay, we have a green wings award.
Yesterday's green wings was pretty unbeatable.
It was awesome. It was a picture of a lock that was on a tree, right? Yep. Probably for like a bike or something. And then the tree grew over the lock and burst it open.
Cracked it open.
Yeah. So you can't hold nature down, baby.
You can't keep it back. Yeah. You can't keep it back.
Yeah. And that's really what we're here to talk about. That's a great transition for today's subject. Yeah, because
I didn't even know the subject was.
Because we've solved
But I made a transition.
We've solved climate change.
I am on fire today.
Yeah.
What?
We've solved it.
It's done?
It's done.
Oh,
we have figured it out. So
thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a great time and a great run. We've done the job.
All that striking, everything that we've worked for up until this moment has been solved. We figured it out.
Oh, please fill me in. What's the deal?
All we have to do is plant 1 trillion trees.
Easy.
Piece of cake, right?
Easy. Yeah, we discussed this a little bit last week.
Yeah, we did. So we are
trillion trees.
A trillion trees is all we got to go.
Okay.
So that's what we're talking about today because I think that this is the movement.
Okay.
This is it, baby.
This is the movement.
Because once we started talking about it, did we go into the pine cone gathering in your thing? I don't think we did. I don't think we talked about that.
I think we did. We said we. I don't know. We don't know what we're talking about on this show.
we
can reiterate.
I think you should reiterate.
We'll say it in a new and fun way.
I think you should share a little bit about.
Jacob and I like to go for a walk. We have a little thing.
A little stroll.
We're at the during the as it goes into the afternoon.
Yeah.
And and we need to just stretch our minds, be one with nature. There's this really cool. I don't know if it would be a grove because it's not a grove.
I was
but it's
hoping you were going to call it a grove because it is a total grove.
It looks like a grove of trees, but they're not because they're redwoods. So I don't. That's like a what do you? It's like you have a murder of crows, a grove of apple trees.
Yeah, a basket of redwoods.
It's a basket of redwoods. So we were walking through a basket of redwoods, and that are just planted along. Kind of where we work, and they dropped all these pine cones everywhere.
Yeah,
and
everywhere.
So we decided, you know what? If we're gonna plant a trillion trees, we've got to start with this. So we picked up the pine cones, and they're sitting in a box in my office as they slowly will open and drop the seeds.
Yes.
And then we're gonna take those seeds, and we're gonna get those suckers growing, and then we're gonna put them in a sneaky spot by the water where they can survive. Here in the greater Los Angeles area, and we're not telling anybody where. We're going to document it, but we're not going to tell anybody where we're putting it so that people don't go until they're big enough and strong enough that we don't get messed with.
Yeah, we can't get messed with. And now I remember we did talk on this, but I'm glad we're reiterating it because that's the plan, Ninja Trees. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it more,
Ninja Trees.
I wanted to talk about it more is I saw this article. And it opened up this whole idea. One man built a forest by planting a tree a day for 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and then of course...
That's rad. A tree a day for 40 years. So 365 or 366, depending on.
Yeah, leap years and stuff.
Yeah, for 40 years.
Yeah.
So how many... Did anyone do the math for us on how many trees that is?
Let me see if it covers it. I saw the article, and then I was like, okay, this guy did this, and then what does this mean for everybody else? So the islands, the story starts out and it says, they say no man is an island.
It's got to be roughly 16,000 trees, but it's got to be more than that.
All right. Thanks, Rain Man.
Because those trees, I'm sorry to cut you off, but this fascinates me.
That's right.
It's because it's not just the 400 times the 40 years.
Right.
It's got to be also that those trees are going to now... It's not 160,000 trees. I was one off. 160,000 trees. Right. 160,000 trees, but those trees are also going to make their own trees. You see? Because trees naturally
kind
reproduce.
Of plant and make others.
They drop their own.
Seeds.
That's... So who knows how many trees this person?
This guy did great, and that's why I wanted to share his story a little bit. But then we'll go into other things that are in the works that are happening around the world. They say no man is an island, but Jadav Payeng disagrees.
Okay.
This man has single-handedly prolonged the life of an Indian River island. All right. So what he did was he's a resident of a place called Majuli. And there's only 170,000 people there. And so he was watering the beach in 1979. And he saw like an area that there had been deforestation and a lot of snakes had been killed and died because they had no habitats and whatnot. And so for people who don't like snakes, they're like, yay. But in his part of the country, they really revere snakes. And it's like it's something that they think is important and valuable. So he decided from that day forward, he wanted to do something. So he went out, he planted a tree on the grounds of Majuli, and then he did it every day. So long story short, Payeng has planted a new tree every single day for the last 40 years. As a result, Majuli now boasts over 550 hectares.
Hectares. Yeah.
Is that how I say it?
That's about like 2.25 acres.
Yeah. So he accomplished 550 hectares of lush green forestry.
550. So we're talking...
Yeah,
we're talking
want to see if there's actual...
well over 1,000 acres of forest.
Yeah. Yeah, so this entire place
by the way, my math was 16,000. I was right the first time. I just didn't trust
You should
myself.
trust your instincts, man. Yeah. You know what you're talking about.
Plus what they're making. So that forest is going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. So he did this. And so when I saw this story, because when we talked about a trillion trees, I was like, we were like, we can do it. We can do it. But when you see that this guy is committed to it for 40 years, you're like, oh, well, we actually probably could do this.
Yeah, you could.
Right? You could do it. And we talked a little bit about the technology, the drone that flies and shoots the tree bullets. We talked a little bit about that. But this right now, as a real solution, go on.
Do you know who doesn't get credit?
Who?
Who was so ahead of the time on this?
Who?
Johnny Appleseed.
Way ahead of the curve.
This guy was planting trees.
Oh, Johnny Appleseed is the voice of tomorrow.
Can you imagine how upset Johnny Appleseed would be right now if he knew the situation that was going on?
Yeah.
He'd probably be like, guys, we got to plant more apple trees.
We got to do this immediately. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I think you're right. I think you're 100% right.
Because he was doing it back then, and he pulled it off and got famous for it. So why can't we all pull it off and all get famous for it?
Why can't we start the Johnny Appleseed organization? It's not a bad idea.
That's actually a good name for it.
Don't steal it.
Or if you do steal it, do a good job.
Do a good job.
And make it big.
So this trillion tree idea, it's funny because this is not new. In the early 2000s, I'll get into that a little bit, but there were organizations that started called like the Billion Tree Project.
Okay.
That was like the plan. And then what I think is so great about this, it was like, we're the Billion Tree Project. What's that? We need 1 trillion trees. So it was like they were just a little.
The numbers. That's one.
That's not enough.
That's 1/1000th of what we need.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
so it recently changed into the trillion trees because people have been thinking about it for a while. So there was a Swiss scientist who he 4 years ago he found there are about 3 trillion trees on Earth. So that's about where we're at now.
Okay.
We lose about 15 billion trees a year.
Right.
So he basically said, all right.
That's our net loss.
Yeah, that's our net loss.
Okay.
So he's trying to find, he said, the amount of carbon that we can restore if we plant 1.2 trillion trees, or at least allow those trees to grow, would be way higher than the next best climate change solution.
Okay, so here's the plan.
Okay.
There's a couple of things we got to do.
Bring it.
Thing number one is we've got to stop the irresponsible destruction of forests that already exist. Because if we do that, then those are going to grow.
Exactly.
And then that's going to help us grow a lot of these trees. Because these forests, if there's 3 trillion trees out there, those 3 trillion trees can produce 500 billion of those trees on their own if we leave them alone.
Exactly. And that's an important part of this step, which is they're saying, okay, we're saying 1 trillion trees, but that's under the assumption that we're still deforesting at the same rate that's going increasingly up.
We've got to stop that.
We got to lessen that way, way down.
We do, because we don't need to do that, right? Mm-hmm. That the forest can kind of take care of its own, its own tree removal and tree.
Totally. Let the woods do the work.
Let the woods do the work. Let nature do its work. Let the animals.
Let nature take its course.
Let nature take its course, baby.
Johnny Appleseed.
The Johnny Appleseed Foundation.
Let nature take its course.
Let nature take its course.
So no,
that's
exactly.
Good. That's good. So that's one, and then you and I will plant the other 500 billion, and the problem's solved.
Yeah, we'll handle half of it at least, guys. That's what we're trying to say. Is like we're gonna solve this. But so this was the thing that I was referring to before. One organization that thinks Plant for the Planet. They were set up as the Billion Tree Campaign by the UN in the 2006, and then later somebody handed them a letter. It was like, we're gonna need. So this is a little awkward. They just printed up boxes that said like 1 billion trees.
We lost 1 billion trees last month.
We need you to scratch out the B.
That's not as many as you think it is. The planet's a lot bigger than you thought. A lot more trees than you thought in space. So billion's a great number.
Billion's great, and your word is so close. I'm gonna need you to scratch out all the B's and put a TR
with a TRIL
on everything there. So those organizations started. So that's already been in motion, and since that time, so we're hearing this as like a new idea. But like I said, there are so many organizations. There's the Trillion Tree Campaign. That exists, and they've got
if everybody says they're going to do 1 trillion trees, then we can maybe get like 3 or 4 or 5 trillion trees.
Exactly, that's the funny thing. Is like literally, there's so many groups that are doing the countdown for the trillion trees. I don't know if they're counting the other groups' trees, or if they're just doing their own.
You know what?
I have a feeling that we're going to overdo the trees.
What if we have too many trees?
Right.
And they suck up all the carbon dioxide, and the trees start dying.
Right. So that's the funny thing is, as I went out here, there's
Guys,
the tree.
we accidentally planted 7 trillion trees.
Yeah. The goal for most of these say like by 2050, like trilliontrees.org, 1 trillion trees regrown, saved from loss, and better protected around the world by 2050. Okay. So, but I found so many different organizations, Plan for the Planet, Trillion Trees organization, whatnot, and us.
And Johnny Appleseed
Foundation.
I've changed what we should do with this. Sorry, carry
No,
on.
no,
You
no.
were talking,
No.
and I cut you off.
No, I want to hear it.
This is okay. I think that Johnny Appleseed Foundation we should change what we do. I don't think we should actually be the ones planting the trees.
Okay.
I think we should be the ones who say, okay, guys, the counter. You've got like they've already done 13 billion. And they've already done 12 billion, and they've done 40 billion. So really, guys, the number isn't 13 billion. It's actually 203 billion. Can that be our job as the Johnny Appleseed
What I
Foundation?
would love is we're at a climate convention, and we're standing there, and they're like, all right, you guys are the Trillion Trees organization, and you guys are Plan for the Planet. What are you guys, Biofriendly? And we're like, oh, we just count them. So you guys planting trees or no?
I mean, a couple.
I mean, we did plant like 2 or 3 before we got here.
There's a stream that we're totally putting some trees by.
And they're ninja trees. Nobody knows we're doing it.
Nobody knows they're doing it until they're big.
But the Johnny Appleseed organization, what we do is we basically take what Trillion Trees is doing, Planet for the Planet, Trillion Trees organization, and we just add them all up and make sure you guys don't overdo the whole tree thing.
Because we only want a trillion trees.
Need a trillion trees.
We don't want 1,000,000,001 trees.
Because this whole planet...
We're trying to keep the ecosystem perfect.
Balanced.
Right. So if you guys accidentally go out and plant 2 trillion trees, I just don't know what we're going to do with that.
I think it's too many trees.
It's a lot of trees, man.
Yeah. It's too many trees, man.
And that's the Johnny Appleseed organization. That's what we foundation.
And I feel like a real maroon here. But I've completely forgotten the story of Johnny Appleseed.
Excellent use of Bugs Bunny verbiage right there.
I love bringing
What a maroon.
I feel like such a maroon here. But I don't remember. What is the story of...
Johnny Appleseed, Jonathan Chapman. He was a...
I love it when he does.
He was a dude. He was a guy who loved apples. And he used to walk around the Americas long time ago. I can't even give you the exact. I want to say 1800s, but don't quote me on that.
You're doing great.
And he would he would have a pot that he would wear as a hat.
Oh, that's the iconic
on his head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so that's what he had. So that's how he'd boil up his water and get himself all together. And he pretty much would eat apples, Wow. And he would plant apple trees. And the guy lived to like 84 years old, never got sick a day in his life until he died.
Is that where an apple a day keeps the doctor away? Probably came from?
That's it, man.
It's got to come from that. Was he a real guy?
A real guy, Jonathan Chapman, and they called him Johnny Appleseed.
That's amazing.
Real dude.
I always thought it was just like a, cartoon character that, I feel like I watched a Johnny Appleseed cartoon when I was a kid. Like when they would do, Sleepy Hollow, Paul Revere, all these, old...
Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, I feel like I remember seeing a cartoon character with a pot on his head.
There was a cartoon character, but it just happened to be based on a real dude.
Happened to be, oh.
Yeah.
So what if they're all based on real?
I think a lot of them are, man.
Oh, wow.
I think a lot of these Disney cartoons from the old days are really based on they're like real historical figures.
Real historical things.
Yeah.
So Johnny Appleseed, now I remember it now. So he had the right track. We all need more trees. We all need more apples, clearly.
Yeah, I mean an apple a day does keep the doctor away.
It does keep it. I should eat more apples.
So says you.
Yeah. But that's basically all I came to the table with today.
That's it. That's all we got. Well, then I'm just going to grab an apple because I've got one in my lunch.
I think you should start eating an apple because I think this is the part of the podcast where if they hear the crunch of an apple, it'll inspire them to have an apple. And then they're going to be like, I need to plant some more trees. Trees for America.
And here's the thing is you can plant trees and they don't have to just... don't have to be...
Look at you using a reusable food tote.
I am
He's biofriendly.
Very biofriendly. I'm responsible.
He is.
Man.
He is, man. Oh, I gotta say, to be honest, the audio of that was great.
Yeah, it worked.
We could sell that.
Hey, we could put that money towards the Johnny Appleseed Foundation.
That crunch was, you guys have to agree, that crunch was amazing. That was like if you were watching a commercial or like a movie or something. That sound design, our sound guy, Tim, is going to love that.
Tim.
We need to pull that out and give it to him.
Tim's going to be so excited.
So good.
No, what I was going to say is, that's a great point about about Johnny Appleseed, apple trees, orange trees, whatever it is that you like, lime trees.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got yourself any kind of yard space at all, and you don't know what to do with it,
yeah,
I mean, I mean, people right now, front yards, there's a big kind of trend right now is going towards, hey, if you don't live in an area that has a lot of natural rain and water,
right,
you probably shouldn't be going with grass lawn.
Yeah.
Because it requires a lot of water to keep it alive, right?
Yes.
So instead, if you did like a drip feeder system and you put a little grove,
Yeah.
in your front lawn, you would be producing trees and tasty fruit.
Tasty fruit. We should do an episode on lawns because I feel like every time I read about a guy who decides to convert his lawn to like pebbles and stones and whatever is indigenous plants to the area, he gets like in a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? It feels like everybody in the neighborhood's like, how dare you break from green lawns? And he's like, it's not native to this area. It's killing me to keep this thing alive, But like whenever you read those stories, those people are always the social pariah, the person that like, get this freak out of here with this natural lawn.
Well, the issue is that like the people, they'll buy their homes and they'll want the neighborhood to be valuable because the more valuable the neighborhood is, or the nicer the neighborhood looks, the more they can sell their house for later.
Right. If you have pretty house, and then you have the one, you're like, ugh, then everybody suffers.
Right.
Right.
And the issue is that you can do a really artistic and wonderful job of putting native plants in your front yard.
Right.
But if you're just Jack Face Buff.
Who's the neighbor who moved in? The Face Buffs.
The Face Buff family.
Jack, Diane, Face Buff.
The kids are Molly and Peter.
Yeah, Molly and Peter Face Buff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you're thinking, I can do this. Yeah. And you just put a bunch of plants on your front lawn with no
succulents
concept as to how you're gonna have them grow. So I saw a house where it was, great for the environment, but the dude just covered the front of his house with a million cactuses, like the most, like it was just a cluster bleep of cacti.
Yeah.
And while there was something awesome about it, I can see why the neighbors on either side would be like, what the hell are we supposed to do with this?
Right. And so, but that's what I think is so funny. And by the way, I love that after Noel took a bite of his apple, he's had to kind of hold onto it like a ball player has dip, but it's like apple dip. It's kind of been in the side of his cheek like a chipmunk. But no, what I was going to say is that's what I mean by them being renegades. It's always a very, very, like, whenever you read about it, you're like, and then the neighborhood dragged him out to his death. We're doing this to London. I'm sorry, I just totally laughed into the microphone.
Here's what this is great. Here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
A very good friend of mine is a landscape architect and a very talented one. His name is Scott.
You gonna have him on the show?
He's the best there is.
Okay.
And he lives in Southern California.
Okay.
And I'm sure he's highly aware of what the options are here and what you can do.
What you can do that looks good too.
We'll have him come on the show and he can give us some little quick ideas as some ways you can do it and places where you can look for a little bit of help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when it's well done, there are houses that I've seen in throughout Southern California where they've actually taken
they've done it and they've done it well.
Probably gotten advice from a person like Scott, or had them do it, right?
Yeah.
But like where they've actually like put some thought to how do we artistically make a responsible front yard.
Yeah.
And then they look slick. Like they look really great.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's like anything, right? You get a professional to design it. It looks great.
Yeah.
And a lawn is kind of the easiest dumb but way to have a safe, good-looking
Jack
house.
Face Buff.
Jack Face Buff can make a lawn work.
Yeah, well, everybody also has this picturesque idea of when they are a homeowner that they have the green lawn and they're mowing the grass. That's kind of the ideal. So that's also what the selling point is. Anywhere, but anywhere, anyway.
And you invest a lot of money now. Like, as anybody who's listening to the show knows, it's hard to get a house.
Yeah.
You gotta save a heck of a lot of money,
especially in Southern California.
Yeah.
And New York and California,
frankly, anywhere,
San Francisco,
anywhere, because
it's rough all over the place.
If you live like in I don't know, if you live in Tucson, right? Mm-hmm. Then the income that you're going to make is going to match the housing. Mm-hmm. So it's still hard, right?
That's true.
I mean, it's supposed. I think it's supposed to be hard because I don't know why it's supposed to be hard, but it's hard.
Yeah, that's why.
And so when you've invested and you've got this house and you've lived in it for 30 years and now you own it, the last thing you want is to have everybody around you have a dumpy house and now you're like, oh, great.
Well, that's why we live off the land, me and my family.
Yeah.
We live under the bridge.
In a Toyota Tercel.
Yeah, in a Toyota Tercel. Off the land. So back to, I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but it's tangential, but worth it.
It was environmental.
Yeah, it was environmental, so it's fine. We were talking about yards, but there's more to that subject material. But to kind of close up the whole thing about the trees is you might be thinking to yourself, but where would all the trees go? Where would all the 1.2 trillion trees go
Where do
that
we
we need?
put them?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've already figured that out.
Okay, where are we going to put them?
I don't know. But I'm just saying they have a map. I don't know.
That was so fantastic.
I have no clue, man. I'm just a podcast host.
You set that up.
Yeah.
You set that up like guys,
I knew.
This is it. Don't worry about the problem. They've figured it out.
They figured it out. We're gonna put them all in Nebraska. No, it's they. What I meant is, you may be asking yourself, where are they gonna go? Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
I'm asking myself, where are they gonna go?
No, don't worry about it. They literally have a map that says like there is tons of land here and tons of land there and tons of where there's no development, there's no properties where we need to plant, and this is where a forest has been torn down.
Let's each take a guess.
Okay.
One place where they're gonna. Where do you think that they're gonna? One guess. Where do you think they're gonna put tree? Where's one of the spots?
Does it have to be in the United States?
No.
Oh, it can be anywhere in the world. Moldova.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think Moldova really needs more trees.
Moldova's got some spots where,
Yeah.
where they've ironed out a couple little areas.
I think that
where the
it's really
Moldovans are ready
yes,
to go.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm gonna pick a desert.
Okay.
I'm gonna say
we're gonna terraform the Sahara.
I'm gonna say we're terraforming a desert.
Okay.
And I'm actually here's the Gobi Desert. They're already and it seems futile at the moment that they're trying to fix it, but in China, they are trying to stave the
I
the
remember
approach,
this story. Yes.
of the desert.
Right.
And so since they, and their solution to this was, well, if we on the kind of edge of the desert, if we put a forest, if we plant trees,
Right.
then those trees will stop the desert from encroaching upon our land, right? So that's not going great. Like they're really
It's not going well.
They're putting a lot of trying to get enough water
Johnny
to keep them
Appleseed
alive.
is going to have to fly in and show him a thing or two.
However, the plan apparently is to take water from the mountains way up above in like the Tibet area that they got their hands on.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. And to move water from up there and actually send the water down into that area so that you can actually have tons of flowing water where that desert is. So they are kind of terraforming. They're terraforming the land.
That's amazing. And that's the Gobi? That's the Gobi?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So he's got a good guess there. I didn't even know where the Gobi Desert was.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Star Wars species. The
Yeah,
Gobis.
The Gobis.
Yeah.
I think the other thing but the other thing also that is like right next to the forests and jungles that exist
Yeah.
is land that once had forest and jungle. So like, can we just leave that land alone, man?
Yeah. That's the plan. Leave it alone, man.
Man.
So I don't know where we're gonna put the trees, but I know that we can put trees
Minnesota.
around Minnesota. They could use some more trees.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Brilliant.
10,000 lakes.
Let's go.
Tons of water.
Let's go.
Lots of places.
Road trip. I say Biofriendly Podcast road trip.
Yeah.
Where we go across the country and we just find places where we plant. We're not supposed to plant trees, but we plant trees.
We're putting trees there.
Yeah, it's a
Ninja style.
It's a documentary
On ninja trees.
on ninja trees,
Yeah.
and that's the name of the documentary. You guys would totally watch that.
I was also thinking, like any place where you have a dam and an aqueduct.
Watch your mouth.
But you're
Yeah,
storing
yeah,
water
yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
flowing that water down somewhere.
Yeah,
Particularly in areas like California where the water is sporadic.
yeah.
But like there's spots where you do that. Man, that's right. That's what I'm talking about on the banks of those things. We can make ourselves some serious forestation.
I'm just laughing so hard at Noel's apple for this episode. Every time I look over at him, there is the apple is the chewing gum of the fruit world. You know what I mean? It gives this nonchalant carefreeness to it. When you chew gum, that's why you always have kind of confident characters are chewing gum because they look like I don't really care. Apples accomplish the same thing. It's like the veggie, the fruit and good healthy choice guy who doesn't really Nothing really bothers me.
It's like that's exactly what. That's such a good point.
It is. It's like
if you got an apple in your hand,
you're
that's
just
as good as a cigarette.
Yeah, it's a guy who just kind of feels like, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me that much.
Yeah.
It's a carefree person.
Yeah.
So that's what I loved about it. Is you were
You've
telling
also
me ideas.
got to figure it out.
Yeah. So to wrap up the idea of what we're talking about, obviously tree planting, it's not a quick fix. Everybody knows that if we did this, it would take 30, 40 years of growth in order to get the thing to its full potential.
But let's remember that the growth of the tree absorbs the carbon dioxide. So it's not a waste
It's not a waste of time. Exactly. And a lot of these campaigns say that they'll plant however many trees by 2050. So this is a long-term goal. But that's also a lot of the turning point numbers that we're being given is like 2050, which, I mean, again, these are educated guesses. Mm-hmm. We still won't know because we've never dealt with this in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people that are working hard to make this happen. The Australian government has announced it will plant 1 billion trees by 2030. Work is underway on a Great Green Wall, which we've talked about here before, to stop the spread of the Sahara by restoring 100 million hectares of degraded land. So that's another
another desert project.
And China's anti-desertification program, also known as the Great Green Wall.
The Great Green Wall. That's
Yep. So there's 2 Great Green Walls, basically. Has planted more than 50 billion trees since the 1970s. The UN-endorsed Bond Challenge aims to reforest 350 million hectares of degraded land.
Can I ask a question that's going to embarrass some people?
No, it's fine. That's about it. That's all the stats I had.
If there's 50 billion trees in the Great Green Wall, when they started that in 1975, you got to imagine that they were probably well over 1 billion.
Yeah.
When the UN decided we're going to do a billion trees project.
Yeah. Oh, you mean that organization that came out and said billion? They were UN sponsored.
Oh, sponsored.
Yeah. So it was like a group started. And they're like, we're going to plant 1 billion trees. It's like when Dr. Evil asked for $1 million in Austin Powers, and they laughed.
Yeah.
So I think that the intention was there. Like whoever started Plant for the Planet was a really good person, but they probably didn't know.
Dr. Evil.
Yeah, like Dr. Evil, but they didn't know the extent of how many trees we needed. So they're like, guys, guess what? We're gonna go out and we're gonna plant 1 billion trees. And the UN was like, oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you so much for coming to us. We need way more than that.
We're going to sponsor you.
But you're going to need
to print.
Yeah.
Print. Let's go ahead and print 1 trillion trees.
Well, we could
plant 1 trillion trees. Do you think the guy was crestfallen when that happened?
Yeah.
Do you think he was like, I've got a plan. I know how we can do 1 billion trees. I can get it done in 10 years. Yeah. He's like, yep, it's going to need to be 1 trillion here.
Yeah. Yeah. So... But no, so that's not an embarrassing question. I bet you the person who came forward probably just didn't understand the gravity of the situation. But as we are learning more and more with the internet and the interwebs and podcasts and information, mass information, everybody is much more well-informed than we've ever been before.
Well, let's just say
that's a good thing and a bad thing.
They're more informed.
Informed, yeah.
Well makes an assumption
Touche. Everybody's more informed. I wouldn't necessarily say well-informed because we know there's a lot of misinformation out there and there's a lot of passionate opinions that are by people that read something on a blog somewhere, but not everybody's fact-checking, and that's both sides for sure.
All sides.
Yeah, all sides. I mean, yes, there's more than two. All sides of people online are just going with what they feel in their heart a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think we can solve everything if we just plant 1 trillion trees. Noel and I have already agreed to 500 billion trees, and we've started. So we'll have a ticker for every one we plant. And we'll count everybody else's too. That's one way we can really start a business is we'll already include the ones that they've done into our business. Perfect. So our business will say, Johnny Appleseed, we've already planted 16 billion trees. And I'll be like, you did? And be like, no, I mean, these other 3 ones did. But like, if we don't count them, then we'll overplant.
Johnny Appleseed has already
planted.
Do we say we need to find the right word? Counted.
Yeah. We've already counted 16 billion trees, and the best part will people
have
be
already
like,
we should take responsibility. You know how like when there's a terrorist organization does something, and then they take responsibility.
Yeah.
We should say Johnny Appleseed organization
responsibility.
has taken responsibility for over 30 trillion trees.
That's amazing.
So we just take responsibility.
I love it. And people
and
be
when
like,
they ask, what do you mean how do you take responsibility? Well, we're counting.
We're counting. And they'll be like, when was your organization formed? Last week.
We've been literally counting for a week.
We've been counting for a week, and we are tired, but we will not stop counting.
We won't stop counting until there's a trillion trees.
Until everyone else plants them.
And then if it goes over a trillion trees, we're going to start our own deforestation project in order to keep things... Our goal
amazing.
number for the world is 4 trillion trees.
4 trillion.
That's
and
it.
Then we're
No
gonna
more?
Then we're going to dial it back.
No more, no less.
And we're going to profit off of all the deforestation what we do.
That's it.
Well, that's it. This has been the Biofriendly Podcast. I've been your host, Jacob.
And I've been Noel.
And he's been Noel. He's not a host. And we are your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Sound years ahead of the competition.
Saving the world, eventually.
Tantamount.
So glorious. So handsome.
Tantamount.
No, you...
What? Oh, Wait.
You
was I supposed to say tangential but worth it?
Oh, you saboteur. He smirked so big when he said tantamount a second time that I was like, he knew he had it. What a rascal.
If I got it right,
Noel is a rascal.
It would ruin the show.
It would ruin the show. We can never get it right. He knew it in his heart. He was like, if I right now say tangential but worth it smoothly, then we will have let down our fans.
One day we'll do it. But I couldn't take a bite of the apple and not be a Jack.
I don't want to do it right until it's the last episode of the Biofriendly Podcast.
What do we call him? Jack? What do we call him? Jack?
Something face. Something buff face?
Yeah, something like that.
Buff face. Anyway, that's a great character. All right, guys. We love you. Talk to you soon. Enjoy your carefree apple there.
Enjoy Rapple.
Taking us out. Some apple crunches.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.